This week, we're gonna get a little bookish. Lately, I have fully stepped into my reading era, and to be honest, life has just been lifing really hard lately, and I've been struggling a little bit. It's honestly just been a really great escape for me because life has been feeling pretty heavy, and I've just been kind of inspired to share and connect because I have like entered my book era hard, like full stop. My bookish story begins as a lot of adult book girlies probably did. I started by reading ACOTAR because I saw everyone talking about it, and about 2 books in, I realized I had accidentally started a full-blown addiction. The natural next progression was to step into the world of Fourth Wing and the Empyrean series, and that has very quickly become my Roman Empire, and it has just continued to escalate from there. My very little and kind of sad excuse for a bookshelf filled up very quickly. So for Prime Day, I went ahead and treated myself to my very first Kindle, and I'm so excited. So we're just gonna spend some time together getting so cozy and getting lost in a good book. As the proud new owner of a Kindle, I wanted to really make it my own and kind of make it fit in with the worlds that I love to read. So I got this little clear case. I love to switch out my cases probably a little bit more often than I should. So I thought getting a clear case, I could like decorate it with craft paper, and then I can switch the case as often as I want without it getting too expensive. I'm also trying to avoid having a drawer where like Kindle cases go to die because I already have a good collection of phone cases in said drawer and it's a little bit full. But I thought there was no better time than a little craft night to kind of talk you through what I've been reading, what I've been loving, and some of the ratings on my recent reads. I feel like everybody has different tastes in books, and I absolutely love getting a good book recommendation, and there's a couple of creators that I've just really come to trust with my book life. So I thought it would be fun to share what I've been loving. My favorite genre lately has been romantasy, fantasy in general. I just really love the little bit of escape that it offers, and I love the lack of like modern things in a fantasy book. That was something I really loved about ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, and something I found a little bit strange and hard to get into with Crescent City was the kind of modernness of it all. I think especially because I love to use my reading time to kind of disconnect and escape a little bit. It was kind of a strange mesh of reality with fantasy, and I think personally I lean towards like a kind of true fantasy world type of book. But we are gonna get crafting, and I'm gonna fill you in on what I've been reading lately.
I love a good series, so I decided to give Zodiac Academy a try because of all the hype, and I honestly didn't really love it. The bullying was so intense, so I did finish the first book but decided to not finish the series. Instead, I picked up Spellcaster on a recommendation from Carter Sullivan, and it was everything I wanted Zodiac to be and more, and was a 5-star read for me. I simply couldn't put it down, and I finished it in less than a day. And then for my physical book club this month, we read Anathema. I think I'm saying that right. Definitely check out the trigger warnings before you pick up this book. It had some very intense themes throughout the story. The pacing was a little bit slow at first, but by the end of the book, I was fully invested, and I'm really excited to read the second book that just got released as soon as I can get my hands on it. I would say this book was like a 3.75 4-star read for me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to continue diving into their world. And then most recently, I read Heartless Hunter, again, a recommendation from Carter Sullivan, my book queen. This was such a fun read, and it was YA, which I felt like was perfect to follow up Anathema, as it was a little bit more dark and intense. So it felt like a really good way to kind of lighten the mood. It was so well paced, and the characters were so fun and have really, really great tension. I would say this is a 4-star read for me, and I'm really excited to start the second book in the series. This is the Crimson Moth series, so the second book is Rebel Witch.
I also was able to make the cutest little bookmark out of the scraps. I was trying not to waste anything, and I have lots of paper left if I want to switch it up, but it turned out so cute. And I don't know about anybody else, but I am fully depressed that fall is almost over. I was gone for most of the month of September, and I feel like I kind of missed fall. Usually by the time Halloween rolls around, I'm like fully ready to start Christmas, but this year I feel like I'm really holding on to fall because I kind of missed it. So I'm gonna pick up another witchy read. I'm gonna sit here and read The Rebel Witch a little. As much as I love the Kindle, I usually save it for like later in the evening because I do really love a good physical book. That's why I think I waited so long to even jump on the Kindle train. There's something about just like having a book. If you get it, you get it. I was actually going to start the second book that Carrie Lake just came out with, the sequel to Anathema, but my bookstore didn't have it. So I took that as a sign I should start something else that I already have. I balled out a little bit on books recently, so I have a couple more to get through before I feel like I really should buy any more anyway. I used to be a very like one book at a time kind of person, but recently I've really been enjoying switching it up. I've been listening to the Bridge Kingdom series, which is free on Audible, and I've really been loving it. I believe I'm on book 5 now, and I'm just flying through those on my daily walks while I clean the house, stuff like that. And then I usually have a physical book going as well, and now we're throwing the Kindle into the mix, and honestly I've really been loving it because I put myself into so many reading slumps over the years by only like reading one book at a time, and if I really wasn't feeling it, I felt like I couldn't start something else without finishing it, which often just resulted in me not reading. So I'm just gonna spend a little time getting started on this while I wait for Josh to get home, and we're gonna have dinner together, and then I'm thinking I will switch to the Kindle later tonight and cozy up for like a rot session in bed. I even bought one of those little clicker things so that I can go like full lazy. Did anyone else have a hard day? Just me? I've really been enjoying what an easy read this is. It's YA, and sometimes after a long workday, I just need an easy read. I ended up getting about 50 pages into Throne of Glass last night. I am reading Assassin's Blade 3rd, per recommended by Sarah J. Maas and quite a few people on Book Talk, but my decision has been made mostly because I bought the pack of the series on Kindle, and that's the order that they were put in, so that's the order I will be reading them in. It's so funny, the percentage at the bottom of the Kindle says I'm like 1% in, even though I'm a good chunk into the story now, because it's basing the percentage on the entire book series, which is like a lot of pages. I'm really excited to dig a little deeper into that later, but I am just going to get a little further through this. I'm really invested in these characters at this point. This being the second book, I am like just really desperate for them to get over the enemies phase and to the lovers phase, frankly. I also listened to my audio book, The Twisted Throne, which is book 5 in the Bridge Kingdom series, on my walk today. I have about 5 hours left of that audiobook, so probably will finish that before the week is out. I love that series so much. The first book was so addicting, and then the rest of the books kind of dive deeper into a different character from the original story. story and their love story from there. So it's been really cool to kind of see the world build on itself. And I highly recommend, especially because it's a free listen. I've really been enjoying an audiobook over a podcast or music lately. My mind has been doing a little bit too much wandering, so I find that like getting lost in a story keeps me from going to a funny place mentally, and it just makes the time pass so quickly, especially if I'm doing something I really don't want to be doing, like cleaning or working. I definitely have a hard time putting down a book, so I'm hoping to get a good chunk of the way through this tonight. And today just was not my day, so Josh is bringing home Chipotle for dinner. Bless him. And I'm so excited to enjoy my little fall glass of apple pie wine and just like relax for the evening. I really struggle to relax and I'm feeling very on edge today. So I would love to know what you guys have been reading. So let me know if you have any recommendations down below, especially if you are into fantasy and romantasy like I am. I could always use a few more books to add to my TBR because I have been tearing through them recently. Chipotle is my life. So excited.
Yeah, thank you.
Yummy. Swapping out sour cream for Greek yogurt. Truly couldn't tell the difference, but way better for my goals. Cheers. I was, in fact, able to finish Rebel Witch before I had to jump into my first meeting of the day. It's been a very meeting-heavy morning, so now I'm just jumping into more task-based work, so I'm going to turn on my audiobook. But I just wanted to give you guys the update on Rebel Witch because, whoa. I honestly liked the second book so much more than the first. The pacing felt a little bit better. I will say that things kind of escalated quickly towards the end of the book, and it felt like it kind of came to like the climax of the story and then ended like 2 pages later. But this was such a fun read and I just love how everything played out. There was like so many different dynamics and so much going on in the second story that layered onto the first, and I felt like it just took the tension between the two main characters up a notch and it was so good. My only real note is that I would have liked to have seen the end of the book drawn out a little bit more, tie things up, and slow the pacing down towards the end because it did feel like it just like ended so abruptly. And I would have loved to just hear a little bit more about what happened after that major point in the story, but no spoilers here. But if you're looking for a witchy fall read, I know October's almost over, but these were very quick reads and very fun stories to finish out the month with. The Crimson Moth series is it. So now I'm just jumping into some work and I'm going to put on my audiobook and finish listening to The Twisted Throne. I don't know that I'll get all the way through it. I still have a good couple of hours, but I think it's going to make the rest of my workday go by much faster, which I would just love. It's so funny with the rest of the Bridge Kingdom series, books 1 through 4. You could kind of tell where the story was going, or at least like that the two characters were going to fall in love, as it is kind of a romance-based series. But with book 5 in particular, like, I just really don't know how it's going to end. I just can't really see how the story is going to play out and how the two characters are going to find their moment, you know? So I'm really intrigued at this point to see how the story progresses, because I think I'm about halfway through and I just truly cannot tell you where it's going. And then I think tonight after work, I'm going to spend some time reading on my Kindle and get a little bit further into Throne of Glass. Now that I'm through the rest of Rebel Witch, because I simply couldn't put it down, it just got so exciting towards the end there. I want to get a little bit further into that story and a little bit more invested there. And honestly, I'm like intensely motivated to get past the 1% mark, even though I'm like 50 to 60 pages in, I'm still at that 1% mark. And I just want to see some progression. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but those little wins, like, just really do it for me. So my overall consensus on the Crimson Moth series is a 4-star across the board. It was such a good read. And honestly, something about me, nothing sends me faster than a cliffhanger when the next book is not out yet, like immediate crash out territory. I get so invested in a story, and waiting years to finish it just grinds my gears a little bit. So I've actually started to get in the habit of looking to see if a series is completed before I pick up a book. That's one thing about Spellcaster. With it being a 5-star read, you could tell there's more to the story, but with it being a new release, the second book is not out yet. So just for my sanity's sake, I do typically like to start books that the series is already completed, because I'm a little bit of a control freak. I have 2 more books on my physical TBR before I'm allowed to buy any more books at the bookstore. I just need to decide what I'm going to start next. I have Quicksilver because everyone and their mom on Book Talk has been talking about this book, and I kind of need to know what's in the Kool-Aid. But it's definitely a thick book and like a big story, so I'm not sure if I want to start this or The House of Bane and Blood. I was DMing with Carter while I was at the bookstore, and she saw this in the background and told me I should pick this one up too. So I ended up buying like 6 books that day, and a recommendation from Carter has yet to miss the mark for me, so I'm really intrigued by this one. And I low-key hate making decisions. There's so many books in so little time, and I just want to read them all. So if you've read either of these 2 books and have thoughts about what I should start next, let me know down below, because I'm actually really torn. They both seem like really good, like end of fall, early November reads, and I just really can't decide, because I also am kind of tempted to buy the next book to Anathema by Carrie Lake and continue with that series since I've already started it. I don't know if any of you guys are as indecisive as me, but it seems like a really important decision. But I was just feeling a little chatty. I was kind of like taking a little break from work to get some energy to get through the rest of the day. And I think the audiobook is going to help me do that. So I'm just going to get clicking buttons, knock a couple of things out, and then settle in with my Kindle for the evening.
Into the Sky Palace, but Prince James returned for that space. It was intended for Lady Elizabeth. He said, frowning. I hear the rustle of satin. What are you wearing?
Clocked out of work and clocked into a book, which is just how I've been loving it recently, especially now that we're moving into the season where it gets dark so early. I'm really leaning into some cozy hobbies for the season. In Idaho, we have a very long winter, so I really try to romanticize all things cozy and a little bit slower pace of life and like the simple joys in the wintertime especially. Life has been really fast paced lately, and I really needed a little bit of reset and needed to take some time to slow down and this has been the perfect way to do it. And I've really kind of forgotten how much I love days like this, just reading, slowing down, and letting my mind quiet a little bit. And it's just been such a nice thing to grab for a book or my Kindle instead of my phone lately, and it's been so good for my mental health. I've also recently started a little list on my phone of books I would love to find at the thrift store, ones that have maybe been out a little bit longer, to keep my eye out for, because as much as I love the Kindle, I do really love a physical book, and there's a couple that I'd love to add to my bookshelf if I can find them for a good price, because books have gotten crazy expensive recently. But I will say, especially for like a chunky book, I've been loving the Kindle so much because it's so much easier to like get comfortable and not feel like I'm, you know, carrying weights around. Some of the fantasy books are thick, and especially if they're hardcover, are very heavy. And I don't know that I'm really a hardcover gal. I kind of like the flexibility of a paperback book, and I'm giving the Kindle 10 out of 10 on convenience. I've been loving it. But thanks so much for getting cozy and just spending some days resting and reading with me. Let me know down below what books you've been loving lately and what you think I should add to my winter TBR, because the snow is coming and I am ready to just settle in, get comfy, get cozy, and get lost in a book.